Hello, guys. Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our exciting new stories. Get ready to dive into a world of imagination.
Luna felt her knees buckle as a wave of dizziness overtook her. Above her, the twin suns of Iridia blazed mercilessly, their intense heat radiating across endless dunes of copper-colored sand. She staggered, catching herself with one blue-skinned hand against the scorching ground. Her water pack, now a useless burden, hung empty by her side. "Not here," she whispered, her starry eyes scanning the horizon. "I didn't come this far to die in this wasteland." The mission's objectives echoed in her mind: locate the ancient water source, secure it for her people, and return home as a hero. Simple, except no one had warned her about the magnetic storms that disabled her navigation systems or the sand raiders that had stolen half of her supplies. 3 days ago, she took another step and then another. Her boots, designed for the crystalline floors of her home planet's cities, sank into the fine sand with each movement. The wind picked up, whipping her silver-white hair across her face. In the distance, heat mirages flickered, tempting her with false hopes of relief. A shadow appeared at the edge of her vision, and Luna froze. Every muscle tensed. Out here, any movement could mean death, either from the massive sandworms or from desperate travelers. She reached for her pulse pistol, only to remember the power cell had died 2 days ago. The shadow materialized into a humanoid figure, approaching with a calm, deliberate stride. Luna's heart raced. Should she run or stay? In her weakened state, either choice could be fatal. The figure became clearer, a tall, broad-shouldered man dressed in desert-worn gear. He looked human, but on Iridia that meant little. His face was mostly obscured by a sand wrap, but his eyes caught her attention, sharp, alert, and focused on her. "You're a long way from anywhere," he called out, his voice easily carrying across the sand. He raised his hands, showing they were empty, though he appeared worse for wear. Luna straightened, fighting another wave of dizziness. "I could say the same about you," she replied, her universal translator rendering her words into standard Earth English, though her throat was too dry for anything resembling normal speech. The stranger closed the gap between them with measured steps. Now, Luna could see the details. The worn grip of a kinetic pistol on his hip, various survival tools fastened to his belt, the way he moved, like someone who knew the desert well. He wasn't a raider. They traveled in groups and didn't waste time with small talk. "Name's Alex," he said, pulling down his sand wrap. His face was angular, covered in a few days' worth of stubble, and marked with a scar along his jaw. "And you look like you could use this." He pulled a water flask from his belt. Luna's eyes locked onto the flask, her body crying out for hydration, but survival instincts were hard to ignore. "Nothing's free on Iridia." "True enough," he smiled. "But I'm not the type to watch people die of thirst when I can help." He held the flask out to her. As Luna reached for it, she noticed something else, a tattoo on his wrist, partially visible beneath his sleeve. Her breath caught. The symbol was unmistakable, 3 interlocking circles divided by a vertical line. The same symbol her people's ancient texts described, marking a time before the Great Exodus. She took the flask, forcing herself to drink slowly despite her body's demand for more. The water was cool, with a mineral taste typical of desert-filtered water. But as it entered her system, something else happened. A warmth, not from the temperature, spread through her limbs, followed by a tingling sensation that made her skin prickle. "Feeling it, huh?" Alex's voice lowered, a hint of amusement in it. "The old ones called it the water bond," he continued. "An ancient Iridian ritual. When you share water with someone out here, it creates a connection, an energy link. Some call it binding, others—" Luna lowered the flask, staring at him. "You're joking, am I?" He tapped his temple. "You're feeling better now, though still tired. Your left boot's chafing, and you're trying very hard not to focus on the symbol on my wrist, even though you recognized it right away." A chill ran down Luna's spine, despite the heat. He was right. And now that he mentioned it, she could sense things about him too. A deep, quiet confidence, genuine amusement at her reaction, and something else, something buried deep beneath the surface. "That's impossible," she said, but even as the words left her mouth, she knew they weren't true. Her people had legends about such things, stories of ancient powers lost to time. Alex shrugged and took back the flask. Impossible is a big word for a universe this strange. As their hands brushed during the exchange, Luna felt a spark of something pass between them. Besides, he added, now you're stuck with me, whether you like it or not. Stuck with you? The water bond works both ways. He grinned, and Luna felt her pulse quicken in response. I can sense you, just like you can sense me. It's a useful thing out here in the desert. Keeps people honest. Luna crossed her arms, trying to ignore how his grin affected her. And what if I don't want to be bound to a stranger? Bit late for that, Alex said, his eyes sparkling with mischief. But don't worry, I'm told I grow on people, like a fungus. Despite herself, Luna smiled. That's not as reassuring as you might think. You smiled? He pointed at her. I felt it, physically. He gestured between them. Through whatever this is, Luna quickly schooled her features. You're very sure of yourself for someone who just met a strange alien in the desert. Strange? Yes. Alien. His eyes traced her form in a way that made her want to either slap him or step closer. You look pretty human to me. Just bluer. There's a lot more to it than just the color. I look forward to finding out exactly how different. The words could have been crude, but his tone carried genuine curiosity mixed with a playful flirtation. Through their newfound connection, Luna sensed no malice, just interest and something else she couldn't quite define. A gust of wind swept across the dunes, stinging them with sand. Alex looked toward the horizon, his expression turning serious. Storm's coming. We should find shelter. He looked back at her. Unless you've got somewhere specific you're headed? Luna hesitated. The mission was meant to stay under wraps, but with the connection growing between them, how much could she truly hide? Besides, she was stranded without water and running out of options. I'm looking for something, she said, choosing her words carefully. An ancient water source. There are stories about the wellspring. Alex's attention sharpened. That's interesting. I think I might know something about that. He extended his hand. What do you say we team up, at least until we get out of this storm? Luna eyed his hand, then glanced at the tattoo on his wrist, a symbol that shouldn't be here, raising more questions than it answered. Everything about this situation felt dangerous, but she took his hand. Through their touch, she felt his satisfaction, his amusement, and beneath it all, an undercurrent of excitement that matched her own. Partner up, she agreed, but don't think I won't be keeping an eye on you. Wouldn't have it any other way, Alex replied, squeezing her hand before letting go. Besides, you couldn't stop watching me if you tried. I can feel it. Luna felt her cheeks flush and knew he could sense that too. This connection was going to complicate things. The storm, she reminded him, trying to shift focus. Right. He pointed toward a distant ridge of rock formations. There's a cave system about 2 kilometers that way. We can wait it out there. He began walking, then looked over his shoulder. Coming, partner? Luna followed, watching his confident stride, trying to make sense of the whirlwind of emotions, his and hers, mixing between them. One thing was clear. Whatever game Alex was playing, he knew more than he was letting on. The cave system appeared before them, wind-carved entrances gaping like ancient mouths in the rock. Luna followed Alex, noting how he moved with a practiced ease through the narrow tunnels. The temperature dropped sharply as they ventured deeper, a welcome relief from the heat outside. Watch your step here, Alex said, reaching out to help her over a rough patch of ground. As their skin touched, the familiar warmth surged through their bond. Luna caught glimpses of his thoughts, concern for her safety, mixed with an underlying sense of anticipation. You've been here before, she said, not asking, but stating it. Alex laughed, his voice echoing through the cave. Guess I can't hide much from you, huh? He activated a light stick, casting a soft blue glow that made Luna's skin shimmer. I use these caves as a waypoint. It's good shelter, and there's a hidden water collection system. He paused, studying her reaction. Interesting wall markings. Luna's eyes snapped to the cave walls. The blue light revealed ancient glyphs, strikingly similar to those in her people's texts. Her heart raced, and through their bond, she felt Alex's satisfaction at her recognition. You knew these would be here, she accused, turning to face him. You knew I would recognize them. I had a hunch, Alex replied, leaning against the cave wall, arms crossed. His posture seemed casual, but Luna sensed the intensity behind it. just like I had a hunch about where to find a blue-skinned woman wandering the desert. Who are you, really? Luna demanded, stepping closer. Despite her wariness, she couldn't help but notice how the blue light accentuated the sharp angles of his face. I told you, I'm Alex. He pushed off the wall, stepping into her personal space. The real question is, why are you pretending you don't know exactly who I am? Luna's breath caught. Outside, the storm raged, but inside, the air seemed to vibrate with tension. Through their bond, emotions tangled. Her uncertainty, his challenge. And beneath it all, a pull they both felt but neither acknowledged. The symbol on your wrist, she said finally. It marks you as one of the departed, but that's impossible. They disappeared centuries ago. Did they? Alex's voice dropped, becoming quieter. Or did they simply go somewhere else? Somewhere they could wait and watch? He reached out, fingers hovering near her face without touching. Prepare. Luna fought the urge to lean into his almost touch. Prepare for what? The cave trembled as a gust of wind tore through the desert outside. Alex's hand dropped, but his eyes stayed fixed on hers. That's the real question, isn't it? He stepped closer. The one you've been afraid to ask since you saw my tattoo. I'm not afraid, Luna insisted, even though their bond revealed her uncertainty. Alex's smile became knowing. No? Then why is your heart racing? He took another step closer, and Luna found herself pressed against the cave wall. Why can I feel your curiosity fighting with your caution? His hand reached up again, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. The contact sent sparks through their connection. Why are you fighting what you already know? Luna swallowed hard, trying to maintain control despite the overwhelming mix of sensations between them. And what exactly do I know? That this isn't a coincidence. His fingers traced down her cheek, leaving warmth in their wake. The water bond, the symbols, you and me meeting here. It's all part of something much bigger. Something set in motion long before either of us was born by the departed. Luna struggled to ask, her voice shaky. By those who knew what was coming? Alex's hand fell to her shoulder, and through their connection, Luna felt his own internal struggle, his desire to reveal more at war with his need to be cautious. But we're not having that conversation until this storm passes, and you've had some rest. He stepped back, breaking the moment. Luna felt the loss of their contact like a physical thing. Their bond hummed with shared frustration and unresolved tension. There's a chamber further in with supplies, Alex said, his tone returning to its earlier casualness, though Luna could sense the effort it took him to sound light. We can wait out the storm there. Luna watched him gather his light stick, noting the careful way he moved, as if carrying more secrets than he let on. I still don't trust you, she said. Alex glanced back, a half smile playing on his lips. Yes, you do. That's what's really bothering you. He continued down the passage, calling over his shoulder. Coming, partner? Luna pushed off the wall, following him deeper into the cave system. He was right. Despite every logical reason not to, she trusted him. Their bond hummed between them. The storm had passed by morning, leaving behind a transformed desert. The dunes stretched endlessly to the horizon, frozen in copper, their surfaces marked by intricate wind-carved patterns that seemed to shift with the rising sun. Luna stood at the entrance of the cave, watching the twin suns climb into the sky, while Alex behind her packed their supplies. You're brooding again, he called out, a teasing tone in his voice that came through their bond. I can feel it from here. I'm thinking, Luna replied, turning to face him. There's a difference. Not the way you do it, Alex said, slinging his pack over his shoulder and tossing hers in her direction. Through their connection, Luna could sense his underlying concern beneath the teasing. Ready to face the desert? Luna caught the pack, adjusting the straps. Lead the way, mysterious stranger. Oh, so we're back to that? Alex grinned, his expression mischievous. And here I thought spending the night together in a cave would make us more intimate. In your dreams, Luna shot back, immediately regretting it as she felt his playful energy surge through their bond. Careful, Alex warned, stepping closer. She could feel his warmth. I can tell when you're lying now. Remember? Speaking of their bond, Alex paused, his voice dropping into a more serious tone. I should probably mention the marriage requirement. Luna nearly tripped over her own feet. The what? Oh yes, Alex continued, his face deadpan, though their bond buzzed with barely contained laughter. According to ancient Iridian law, water-bonded pairs are required to marry within a lunar cycle, and usually that's followed by mandatory procreation. Very strict rules about it. Luna's heart skipped several beats before she caught the glint of amusement in his eyes. "You're making that up, am I?" Alex raised an eyebrow. "Care to risk it?" She shoved him, unable to hold back a smile. "You're impossible." They moved out across the desert, Alex leading the way down a path that seemed random, but which Luna suspected was anything but. Their bond had grown stronger overnight, and now she could sense not only his emotions, but fragments of his thoughts and fleeting intentions. Around midday, Luna felt a strange tingling sensation in her fingertips. She stopped, staring at the sand beneath her feet. Something was there, just below the surface, an energy she hadn't noticed before. "Alex!" she called, motioning for him to look. "Come see this." He turned, watching as she knelt and placed her hand on the sand. As soon as her skin made contact, images flooded her mind. People walking this same path centuries ago, carrying water vessels, their bodies adorned with familiar symbols. "The bond," Alex said softly, crouching beside her. "It's awakening. Abilities that were always there, just dormant. You can read the desert's memories now." Luna looked up at him, realization dawning. "You knew this would happen." "I hoped," he admitted, "but I couldn't be sure until—" A low rumble interrupted him. The ground beneath them began to shake. "Sandworm!" Luna scrambled to her feet, but Alex grabbed her arm. "Watch," he said, raising his free hand. Energy crackled around his fingers, and suddenly a shimmering barrier sprang into existence around them. Through their connection, Luna could feel the effort it took to maintain it. The giant creature burst from the sand just meters away, its segmented body towering over them. But when it struck Alex's barrier, it recoiled as though it had hit solid steel. "That's new," Luna whispered, watching the sandworm retreat back into the depths. "Not new?" Alex corrected, letting the barrier fall. Sweat glistened on his forehead. "Just remembered, like your ability to read the sand." They continued on, the desert growing hotter as the day wore on. Luna became more and more aware of Alex, not just through their bond, but physically. The way he moved, the slight shifts in his expression, the way his presence filled every space he was in. "You're staring," Alex said without looking back. "Just trying to figure you out." "You could try asking. Would you actually answer this time?" He looked back at her, the intensity in his eyes making her breath catch. "Try me." Before she could respond, another tremor shook the ground. This one wasn't from a sandworm. The vibration pattern was all wrong. The sand beneath their feet shifted, forming a sinkhole. "Alex!" Luna reached for him as the ground collapsed beneath them. Their hands met, and suddenly they were falling into the darkness below. They landed in what appeared to be an ancient chamber, its walls adorned with the same symbols they had seen in the cave. Alex's light stick illuminated smooth stone surfaces that hadn't seen the light of day in centuries. "Are you hurt?" he asked, helping her to her feet, concern radiating through their bond. "I'm fine," she said, but then trailed off, taking in their surroundings. "This is a waypoint," Alex finished. "One of many built by before those who understood the desert's secrets." His hand was still clasped around hers, his thumb absent-mindedly tracing patterns across her skin. "Your people," Luna spoke softly. "The departed." He didn't deny it. "We had our reasons for leaving, and now—" He turned fully towards her, and through their bond, she sensed his inner conflict. "Now, we need to find our way back." Luna's free hand lifted to touch the symbol on his wrist. "Why me? Why this bond?" "Because some connections are meant to be rekindled." His other hand gently cupped her cheek, and this time, there was no teasing in his touch. "Speaking of which, there's one more ancient ritual we should probably honor." "And what's that?" His thumb grazed her lower lip. "Tradition says that if a bonded pair doesn't seal their connection with a kiss before sunset, they both face horrible deaths." Luna felt his amusement through their bond, but also something deeper, something real. "You're lying again. Want to risk it?" Without hesitation, she stood on tiptoe and kissed him. The kiss sent a jolt through their bond, intensifying every feeling. Alex wrapped his arms around her, drawing her closer as the kiss deepened. Through their connection, she felt his surprise fade into pleasure, then triumph. When they finally pulled away, he was grinning. "I should probably admit I made that part up too." Luna stared at him for a long time, then burst out laughing. "I'm going to kill you." No, you won't. He brushed her hair back, their bond humming with affection. You like me too much now. I can feel it. She couldn't deny it. Their bond made lying impossible. Instead, she asked, "So what other ancient rituals should I know about?" "Oh, there are plenty," Alex said, his eyes sparkling, "but we should probably focus on getting out of here first." Unless, he raised his eyebrows suggestively. Luna pushed him away, still laughing. Focus. Alex, I am focused. He activated another light stick, casting more light across the chamber. On many things, like how beautiful you look when you laugh. The sincerity in his voice made her cheeks flush, but before she could reply, something caught her eye. Symbols arranged in a pattern on the far wall, one she recognized from her early studies. "Alex," she called, moving closer to the wall. "Look at this." He joined her, and through their bond, she felt his recognition. "The map," he said quietly, "exactly where it's supposed to be." Luna turned to him, eyes wide. "You knew this was here?" "I knew there was a chance." He met her gaze, unwavering. "Just like I knew there was a chance I'd find you in the desert. Some things are written in more than just sand." The weight of his words lingered between them, full of promise and possibilities. Their bond thrummed with shared understanding. This wasn't mere coincidence. It wasn't just chance. It was destiny, written in ancient symbols and sealed with water and kisses. "So," Alex said, breaking the moment with his usual lightness, though his deeper emotions were clear beneath his casual tone. "Ready to follow the map?" Luna looked at him, this enigmatic man who had stepped into her life with ancient secrets and unbelievable abilities, who had awakened something inside her she never knew existed. "Lead the way," she said. "Partner." His smile could have lit up the entire chamber, even without the light sticks. Taking her hand, he studied the map, their bond resonating with shared purpose and growing affection. The journey ahead would be perilous, but Luna couldn't shake the feeling that the real adventure had already begun. Not with the search for water, but with the connection that now bound them together. 3 days of following the ancient map brought them to a towering structure that rose from the desert like a metallic mountain. Luna gasped in awe. At the site, the entire building was adorned with symbols that mirrored Alex's tattoo. Despite centuries of being exposed to the elements, the surfaces of the symbols still gleamed brightly. "The wellspring," Alex murmured through their connection. Luna could feel his mix of awe and nervousness. The home of the first water ERS. Luna shifted her gaze from the structure to study his face. "You've known about this all along, haven't you?" He met her gaze calmly. "Just like I knew you'd be the one to come looking for it." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Would you have believed me?" His hand found hers, their bond flaring with shared energy. "Would you have trusted me if I'd told you everything from the start?" Luna wanted to argue, but knew he was right. Their bond had grown naturally, formed through shared moments and gradually revealed truths. "No more secrets, Alex." "Not now," she said. He nodded and began walking toward the entrance. "The truth, then. My people, the ones you call the departed, we didn't simply leave. We were chosen and sent ahead to prepare the way." "Prepare for what?" "For this moment." They reached the entrance, where a massive door bore the familiar symbol of a triple circle. For when our peoples would need to reunite. Luna's mind raced. The water crisis on my world, it was predicted centuries ago. Alex placed his hand on the door, and it vibrated to life, just like the drought here on Iridia. Both are signs that it's time. The door slid open, revealing a vast chamber filled with ancient technology. At the center stood a pillar of light, pulsing with energy, making their bond hum in response. "The source," Luna whispered, a sense of wonder overtaking her. "It's real." "More than real," Alex guided her forward. "It's alive, and it's been waiting for us." They drew closer to the pillar, and Luna felt the power radiating over her in waves. Through their bond, she sensed Alex's emotions intensifying, anticipation mixed with a deep sadness that caused her heart to ache. "You're not telling me everything." He stopped and turned to face her. "The source can only be claimed by one person, one people." His hands cupped her face, his thumbs brushing her cheekbones. "Your people need it more than mine do." Understanding dawned on her. "No," she said firmly. "There must be another way." "There isn't," he said, his voice gentle but resolute. "This was always the plan. Do you think I was sent to find you just to form a bond? To help activate the source? Luna realized the bond had been necessary, but not to share the source. Alex pressed his forehead to hers. Through their connection, she felt his deep conviction, but also his struggle to let her go. What happens next? That's your journey alone. I won't let you give everything up. I'm not, he replied, his voice soft. I'm not sacrificing everything. He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. The bond remains. No matter where we are, we'll always be connected. We'll always feel each other. It's not enough, Luna whispered, even as she felt the truth of his words through their bond. It has to be. Alex's hand slid down to her shoulders. Before she could protest further, he stepped away, moving toward one of the ancient control panels. Symbols illuminated beneath his touch, and the pillar of light began to pulse more quickly. Place your hand on the central column, he instructed. When the energy peaks, you'll need to accept the source's power. It will know what to do. Luna hesitated, torn between duty and desire. Through their bond, she felt Alex's gentle encouragement, mingled with his own inner battle to let her go. Your people need you, Luna. His voice was soft but firm. And mine need me to make sure this happens as it was meant to. Fighting back tears, Luna stepped toward the pillar. The moment her hand made contact and a surge of energy coursed through her body, causing their bond to flare up like a supernova. She gasped as a flood of ancient knowledge filled her mind. The shared history of their peoples, the true purpose of the source, and the destiny set in motion long ago. Alex, she called out, her voice strained. I finally understand. I understand why they chose you, why they sent you to me. Through their connection, she could feel his pride, his love, and his acceptance of the path that must be taken. Take it, Luna. Take the source. Save your people. The energy grew stronger, building to a climax. Luna knew the moment of decision was near. Accept the source and gain the power to save her world, or reject it and keep Alex by her side. Through their bond, she could feel him pushing her forward, his certainty bolstering her strength. With a cry that mixed both triumph and sorrow, Luna embraced the power of the source. Light erupted through the room, and she felt the ancient technology integrate with her very being. New knowledge of water, control of the desert, mastery over powers her people had long forgotten. It became part of her. When the light dimmed, she saw Alex standing there, looking at her with a blend of awe and sadness. It's done, Luna said, testing her new abilities, feeling the desert shift in response to her will. What now? She asked. Now. He stepped closer, reaching for her hand for one last time. You return to your people. Show them what you've learned. Prepare them for what's coming. And you? I have my own task. His smile was soft, but didn't quite reach his eyes. But this isn't goodbye. Not really. The bond between them hummed strongly, undisturbed by the changes caused by the source. Luna could feel his unwavering certainty that they would meet again, his dedication to the larger purpose they now both served. Kiss me, she said suddenly, not out of some ritual or because of their bond, but because she wanted to, just to kiss him goodbye. Alex's hand found its way to her hair as he pulled her close. The kiss was both desperate and tender, filled with promises they couldn't put into words. Through their connection, emotions surged. Love, grief, hope, and determination. When they finally broke apart, Alex placed something small and meaningful into her hand. It was a device, bearing the symbol they shared. When the time comes, he whispered, this will bring you back to me. How will I know? You'll feel it. He took a step back, but the bond between them made the distance feel irrelevant. Through what we share, through what we've always shared. Luna gripped the device tightly, committing his face to memory and holding on to every detail of this moment. I'll find you, she promised, no matter how long it takes. This time, his smile was genuine, reaching his eyes and warming the bond between them. After all, we're bound by more than just water now. Turning away, she felt the power of the source thrumming through her veins, a constant reminder of what she was leaving behind. At the threshold, she paused for one final glance. Alex stood tall among the ancient machinery, his tattoo faintly glowing in the dim light of the chamber. Through their bond, she felt his last message. Not goodbye, but until we meet again. With that, Luna stepped into the desert, her newfound powers already beginning to reach out. Luna ventured into the harsh environment with a mission to accomplish, people to save, and a promise to uphold. And somewhere out there, bound to her by a connection stronger than time or distance, Alex would be waiting. The desert, once a formidable foe, now stretched before her as a path to follow. Luna smiled, feeling the bond they shared pulse with a sense of purpose and hope. This was not the end. 3 months later, aboard a distant space station orbiting Iridia, Alex stood before a series of holographic displays, each showing different parts of the desert planet below. His tattoo faintly glowed in the dim light as he traced energy signatures with his hand. Suddenly, the door behind him opened with a hiss. "Sir," a voice called, "we've detected something unusual. The ancient beacons, they're all activating at the same time." Alex's hand froze. Through his connection with Luna, light years away, he felt a surge of alarm that mirrored his own. "Show me," he commanded. The display changed, revealing dozens of structures similar to the wellspring, each radiating with new energy. Between them, lines of power began forming, creating a vast pattern visible from orbit, a pattern matching the symbol on his wrist. "Impossible," his assistant whispered. "The prophecy said this wouldn't happen for another time." "Time works differently in the desert," Alex replied, his mind racing. He could feel Luna's growing awareness through their bond, knowing she was witnessing similar events on her world. "Send word to the council," he ordered. "Tell them it's happening sooner than we anticipated. The convergence is coming." "No." Alex's gaze narrowed as new symbols began to emerge in the ancient pattern, symbols he had never seen before. Something bigger, something more. His communicator beeped, and the message that appeared chilled his blood. The first waters were just the beginning. The real challenge comes with the second flood. Find her before they do. Instinctively, Alex touched his tattoo, which burned beneath his fingers. Through their bond, he sent an urgent warning to Luna, though he knew she wouldn't receive the specifics. He hoped she would sense the growing danger. If his fears were right, their water bond was not just about saving their people. It was about stopping something far worse from emerging from the desert's depths. And somewhere, others were awakening. Those with different marks, serving different masters, who had waited centuries for this very moment. The rules were about to change, and this time, water wouldn't be enough to save them. In the eternal sands of Iridia, ancient powers were stirring, and the real story was just beginning. The screen faded to black as a single message appeared in the ancient script of the departed. "When the 3 circles break, the 4th shall rise. Remember the covenant well." Well, well, well. Look who made it through all that sand without getting dehydrated. You know, between you and me, Luna and Alex aren't the only ones with secrets. I've got a whole vault of untold stories about what really happened in those desert caves. Stories so wild, they'd make even a sandworm blush. If sandworms could blush, that is. And don't think I didn't see you getting a little hot and bothered during that water bond scene. Yes, I saw that smile. Trust me, if you thought that was steamy, you should see what's in my notes for their next adventure. Let's just say some bonds get a lot more interesting when you add a little desert heat. But here's the real secret. While you were caught up shipping our blue-skinned beauty and her mysterious tattooed man, you may have missed a few clues I left in the sand. Tiny hints about what's really lurking beneath those ancient ruins. Remember the symbol on Alex's wrist? Look closer. It's not quite what it appears. Until our paths cross again in the dunes, keep your water flasks full, your bonds strong, and maybe, just maybe, check your own wrist from time to time. You never know when mysterious symbols might start appearing. Mischievously yours, a keeper of desert tales.